The Los Angeles Regionals has came and passed, and we crown yet another new champion, Calyrex Shadow Rider. I made a video of this 2 weeks ago. If you would like to understand the psychology of why Calyrex Shadow Rider did good, go check that video out. It will be down in the description below. I certainly saw the Calyrex Shadow Rider doing well at this event. There was way too much Zamazenta doing well. So let's go ahead and break down the teams and show you guys what was successful this weekend in Los Angeles. So this weekend was really the Calyrex show, both in the Ice Rider and the Shadow Rider. We see Montana Mont took first place with the Calyrex Shadow Rider with a very interesting team. This is like Wolfie's team, but I think the items differ a bit. We'll go over that in a minute. Then we have Ryan, second place, very formidable opponent for Montana, but it's just the oppressive damage that Calyrex put on the board early just was way too much to handle. With this Calyrex team, looks like a balanced approach. Third place, we have a Zacian team, which I actually just covered. It was in the Limitless Tours, as I keep giving this tip. This one Timmy Burnt Glizzy Tour with 137 players, so I covered this team, and I really like the team buildup of it. And then Kian comes and takes third place. I don't know if this was Kian in the Timmy Burnt Glizzy Tour. I would imagine so with the same team. Fourth place, we see Audie come in with another Shadow Rider, so 2 Shadow Riders in the top 8, and notably Shadow Rider also top cut the special event as well. Same kind of team complexion here without the Tornadus and adding Raging Bolt instead, but notably the Clefairy stays in the Firewater Grass Core. These are just very strong. Justin with a 5th place finish, Calyrex Ice Rider with a Ditto and an Iron Hand, so this will be an interesting team to break down. Then we see Rajan and Colin. These are teammates, I do believe. And they both played Goth, so very interesting that they both played Gothitelle with a Sun Core. So we'll break those teams down. Lastly, John in 8th place with the Calyrex team, just a balanced approach. This looks like the Marco Fiero build. These have seemed to drop the Gold Dingo. This did not, but overall getting an 8th place, so very, very nice. Let's start with Montana Mott's team, though, the overall winning team. And we see some interesting stuff right away. Okay, so we'll start off with the Rillaboom, AV, Terra Fire. Just, this is standard. Honestly, as standard as it gets, just here to rotate with the U-turn. No ground coverage for that Miraidon, so this is about as standard as it gets. Up next, we're going to move over to this Calyrex Shadow Rider, and I did mention this spell tag item right here in my video. This is a way to get a 20% boost without losing that Life Orb damage. The healing is way too important for the Life Orb, in my opinion, especially with the Draining Kiss build, so you just don't want to be chipping 10% of your health each turn. Pretty standard though, Fairy, Astral, Nasty, and Draining Kiss. Standard as far as this goes, but just a very good Pokemon. And we got to see a cool interaction that I'll tell you guys about with the counterplay on the next team once I cover the next team. Incineroar, Terra Ghost, Safety Goggles, Intimidate, Fake Out Taunt, Knock Off Parting Shot. So most of these noting dropping Flare Blitz, a lot of rain going on, and needing the taunt for like Trick Room and stuff for this core makes sense. Urshifu Rapid Strike with the Focus Sash, very interesting check for the meta, but it makes sense, right? Sash is annoying. You have to clear it twice. Calyrex is going to clear Urshifu's usually with 1 hit. So it's nice to have the Sash so they don't get the boost and you can return damage since you aren't faster with the Choice Scarf. Even in Tailwind, if they match Tailwind, this is faster unless you're max speed Scarf. Adamant. So yeah, that's pretty good to have the Focus Sash. And this is very good for other things, just like that Raging Bolt and stuff. You can like close combat it or something. Then maybe Aqua Jet and clean up with some of these Pokemon. Something like this would really enjoy that, where if you can get a CC off and then proceed to Jet plus like Astral, just putting it just in range, that would be kind of cool. So pretty standard set though, as far as like Surging, Close Combat, Detect, and Aqua Jet. Just standard moves. Terra Water for more damage, of course. We see Tornadus. A lot of them have been going Dark and Cloak, so this seems to be the way to play Tornadus right now. You can avoid the Fake Out and those stat drops, and then Dark for the Mirror Match or for Calyrex Shadow Rider, as well as Prankster Taunt. This does have the Prankster Taunt, so notably 2 ways to taunt on this team, Prankster or non-Prankster. You can stop that Ferrograss stuff if you want to. Safety Goggles, so you can get around the Amoonguss on those Calyrex teams and taunt that as well. Bleak Wind, Tailwind, Rain Dance, and Taunt. Very, very good, very supportive. Rain Dance a little well, not really, I guess. You have Torn Urshifu right here, so no, that, yeah, just because it isn't Scarf, it throws it off a little bit. Lastly, we see the Clefairy. This saw a big uptick in our last video, and as I was mentioning, Amoonguss has a little bit of a rough time into Miraidon, can't sleep, and Redirection and a Draco Meteor just OHKOs it, or you're taking so much damage off the Volt Switch. Clefairy makes sense, right? You're immune to Draco, forcing the electric moves onto this, and then you get the Violite, Friend Guard to help your partners out. Terra Grass for the Amoonguss. Follow Me, Helping Hand, Protect, and Heal Pulse. So being able to heal up your Calyrex plus getting the Drain Kiss, that's pretty nice, honestly. Helping Hand just to boost it up further, and then obviously Redirect just to protect your main piece right here. And these restricted teams kind of run like that, where you just try to protect your main piece. Up next, we see Ryan's team. Ryan's running the Calyrex team. And this is pretty pretty standard, honestly. On the Pelipper, Focus Sash and Ghost, avoiding the fake out and just, you know, don't want to chip the Sash, don't have Protect, so you kind of need to have the Ghost here. Makes sense. Hurricane Weather Ball, just 2 stab moves hitting really, really hard. 110, 100% accurate in the rain, and then 100 stab, both stab moves. Wide Guard, this was the interaction I was talking about where we saw in the finals match. It was nice to have the Wide Guard option, but they can just attack you with the Calyrex, which is super, super, super annoying. And it's the reason why I think Protect on Pelipper is very, very valuable to make that read a little harder. Without having to Protect here, it was very nice to just basically go off. However, we saw a pretty cool combination with the Helping Hand plus close combat on the Urshifu. Urshi being Choice Scarf was able to OHKO the opposing Urshifu with close combat in the top 4 match, so that was pretty cool. All right, Raging Bolt with the Booster Energy, Terra Electric. This is just a damage build. Thunderbolt for the Pelipper and just to do a lot of damage, honestly, neutral hits into things like Incineroar. Draco to help clean up stuff like Amoonguss, or you can hit it to those Rillaboom that resist you and just do a ton of damage. Thunderclap is just the bread and butter of this Pokemon. Priority special moves really, really good. Getting the stab and the boost on the electric. Terra, and then Protect just to protect this Pokemon. Very strong Pokemon to lead. You can lead it with Incineroar. You just set it up, you know, do tons of damage to get your Calyrex Ice in range for the late game stuff. Up next, Incineroar, Safety Goggles, Intimidate, Terra Water for the mirror match. And the Urshifu stuff going around. A lot of Urshifu Rapid Strike in this event. Knockoff, Fake Out, Taunt, and Parting Shot. Taunt for the mirror. Again, dropping Will-O-Wisp. Knockoff you want to keep for both Calyrex. Fake Out to enable Trick Room and other things. You know, Fake Out Urshifu is still very strong as well. And then Taunt for the mirror match. Parting Shot to rotate. Up next, Urshifu, and it's carrying the Choice Scarf item. Terra Ghost nobly to avoid Fake Outs. Surging Strike, Close Combat, Coaching, which is very interesting for this team. And then U-Turn to pivot. So they're choosing to drop the priority in Aqua Jet, but I like the coaching because you can just coach up your Calyrex. I mean, that's the only thing that's really going to benefit off the coaching, so it's very interesting tech. You could benefit off the Incineroar, I guess, but I mean, I wouldn't really lock myself into coaching for Incineroar. This is mainly just for Calyrex, Ice Rider. You can essentially get the Ice Rider to +1 right off the bat and kind of do massive damage, and then just kind of rotate maybe into your Incineroar or Amoonguss. So not a bad, you know, little tech here. I do like that. It's interesting for sure. Moving on to Calyrex Ice, Clear Amulet. It has to run that for, you know, in the Incineroar matchup. They used to run Rider back in the day, so this makes sense. Terra Fire. This is for to still resist the mirror match, but you want to be immune to Will-O-Wisp. You do not want this Pokemon to be neutralized. This with Will-O-Wisp, this is your main carry. Glacial Lance, High Horsepower, Trick Room, Protect. Just a very standard set. Very, very good. Moving on, lastly, Amoonguss still stays on the team. Very, very good Pokemon. It loves the rain mode too. With that Rocky Helmet, Terra Fairy, interestingly enough, probably needs to be running this for that Miraidon, right? Because the Draco's just going to take you out. Pollen Puff, Spore, Rage Powder, and Protect. This is mainly the bread and butter right here. Pollen Puff and Spore, mainly the Pollen Puff, especially with all this Miraidon running around. But very, very good for the team still. All right, third place, we're going to go over at Kian's team. 12-2 run, very good run. Honestly, got a little unfortunate and could have been in finals with a few misses. The High Horsepower and the Play Rough miss was rough. I love this team. Honestly, I might run this team because I really like this team. We have the AV Rillaboom, Grassy Surge, Terra Ground. I mean, I just covered this in the last video, but we'll go over it again. Woodhammer, Fake Out, High Horse, and Grassy Glide. Just more damage into those Pokemon that are weak to ground. Raging Bolts everywhere in the meta. You know, you can hit Miraidon with it. Like, there's just a lot of good stuff you could do with this. Loves the Chi and Pow boost. Zacian crowned. We saw Zacian lead with Tornadus, and we saw Zacian tucked away in the back. So it was very neat to see like how the team functioned with the Zacian. Still a scary Pokemon. It did a lot of damage, honestly, but the issue was like the Terrifier Calyrex walled it out too much, and I felt like Incineroar rolls it up. Like there's just so much stuff to kind of get around, and this team is notably really weak to fire. And with having to set up Rain Dance, that is a bit tedious versus like the Pelipper here. But you do need the speed control and stuff. So there were positions where they did manage to beat Colin running like Chiyu and Koraidon. So that was very interesting to see how the team did. But yeah, that's just one thing I noticed. Still hits really hard. Terra Fairy to get stab damage boost on your Play Rough, which does so much damage with the +1. Behemoth Blade for stab. Sword Stance to boost up when you get neutralized eventually by the Incineroar. Is going to come and protect for definitely preservation. Urshifu Rapid Strike, Mystic Water, Terra Grass for those Raging Bolt, you know, Amoonguss, Close Combat, Detect, Surging Strikes, and Aqua Jet. Pretty standard. Mystic Water boosting your damage up 20%. Plus, you know, losing 25% of defense is very, very nice. Chimp Pow, Focus Sash, about as standard as it gets other than the Stellar Terra. Sacred Sword, Icicle Crash, Protect, and Sucker. very standard set. This Pokemon's been good forever. This is the interesting piece. Really love this. I love Johto for one. Two, Umbreon is just a really good Pokemon, right? Safety goggles to ignore those Amoonguss for the foul play that's wanting to go off into those Calyrex matchups. Snarl for the special attackers, Raging Bolt, Calyrex Shadow Rider. You can also, yeah, hit the Calyrex with foul play, but you're mainly just want to Snarl it. Taunt, so you can taunt Amoonguss with the goggles. You can taunt Trick Rooms. You can taunt Incineroars, so they can't parting shot, stuff like that. Then Yawn. We saw Kian use Yawn very, very well. Just to put, one of those slots to sleep or force to rotate and get some damage with some of these big physical threats right here. Lastly, we see Tornadus with the Covert Cloak and Dark, as we've been mentioning. This is kind of the way people have been running Tornadus for this meta game. Bleak Wind Storm, Rain Dance, Protect, and Tailwind, pretty standard. You need the Rain Dance for this to protect these 3 weaknesses to fire. And notably, I mean, Ground is good Terra for this. I mean, you can Terra off on 2 of these Pokemon, but then if you Terra here, you're also weak to fire, so got to be careful with running this team. Very good team, though. Very skilled pilot. Some insane reads by Kian. Congratulations on your top 4. That was pretty impressive to watch you play. All right, up next, we have Adi. Adi's a very, very good player. Same team, just no Tornadus. So we're going to check out the item swap here. I think this was a little bit different. So we see 2 Sash Urshifu Rapid Strike. Very interesting adaptation. Look for this at NAIC, right? We're seeing the adaptation early. Go ahead and get ready for this. Start prepping for this. And we're also seeing a drop in Aqua Jet. Aqua Jet's probably just not very good right now with the Pokemon. So with all the Friggraphs and stuff running around, this makes sense, right? Bread and butter, surging, close combat, detect, but then taunt. So notably, Urshifu Rapid Strike here with your build, with your team, try to tech. We're seeing coaching, we're seeing taunt, maybe put a substitute right here. Substitute with Sash wouldn't work, but just, notice that this is very techy. You can even put Sword Stance right here if you wanted to. Just note that, like, Aqua Jet, I'm just noticing a lot of these good players are dropping it, so there's got to be a very, very good reasoning and testing for this. Incineroar, Safety Goggles, Ghost, pretty standard other than Will-O-Wisp over Taunt. You have the Taunt on Shifu, so this makes perfect sense. You do not need it over on your Incineroar, although it's kind of a bit odd because your Taunt you sort of want on your Incineroar, especially with the fact that, like, Wisp is generally, like, Amoonguss have been Terrafire recently, or they like can just Rage, well, they can't Rage Powder with the goggles. They can Rage Powder your Taunt, right? So I think Wisp must have been more important for this team, which makes sense. And then you see Knockoff Parting and Fake Out. Calyrex Shadow Rider, the only difference here, we have the same set, except for it's Calm Mind, which is very interesting over the Nasty Plot. Get your Spit F up. You can weaken physical attackers with this, so you can have special defense boost and a defense boost technically with the Intimidate. Very smart, honestly. So that's pretty cool. Audi is a smart player, so that makes sense, right? Astral Draining, Calm Mind, and Protect. Terra Fairy, just to, resist Dark, and then Cloak, so you can't get snarled to death. Need that for your Pokemon that wants to boost up and do damage. Raging Bolt AV, this is the difference maker between the last team with Tornadus and then this one. This has the Electro Web for speed control, notably, Thunderclap, Thunderbolt, and Draco. Terra Electric for more damage output, and then the Assault Vest item, leaving the Rillaboom off Assault Vest. Very interesting. Clefairy, we see Terragrass Clefairy doing very well. This one was Follow Me, Protect, Sing, and Helping Hand. Similar set, just no way to heal up. They went for Sing instead, I'm assuming for those Trick Room matchups. Lastly, Rillaboom Choice Band, Grassy Surge, Terragrass, all damage. This is just, I'm going to hit you in the mouth really, really hard set. Wood Hammer, Grassy Glide, high horsepower and U-turn, no Fake Out notably. This is just doing a ton of damage. All right, Justin Burns in at 12-2. We're going to check this team out. Iron Hands was a very interesting Pokemon. I kind of predicted to do well. The reason I predict Iron Hands to do well is even though Incineroar neuters this, is resist Miraidon and it resists the Body Press Heavy Slam stuff. So this Pokemon being able to resist the two regional champions recently makes like some value in my opinion. And I was looking into it and like the Drain Punch was doing very well. Even though something like a Zamazenta could wall it out, having a partner Pokemon that could like Fake Out and just kind of help clean your opposing partner Pokemon was very nice. Pretty cool to see that AV Hands did very well. I was going to make a video of this, decided not to. I should have, but it's okay. Terra Water, just for the Urshifu stuff, is a very defensive Terra. Makes a lot of sense. Fake Out, Drain Punch, Wild Charge, and Volt Switch. This is for pivotal purposes for the team. Volt Switch is very good for the Amoonguss stuff. You're faster than Amoonguss notably, so you can Volt Switch if they're going to Spore here and get an immunity in with like the goggles. That makes a lot of sense. Up next, we have Ditto, Choice Scarf. So if you guys don't know or haven't played a restricted format before, Ditto is just very, very good, right? You just copy a restricted, so you have two restricteds, or you can copy something very valuable like an Amoonguss or an Incineroar that's just insanely valuable, right? Like these Pokemon are very, very, very good. So if you have a faster version of one of these Pokemon, that's cool. You can like Scarf, Parting Shot, and just do a bunch of annoying stuff. But mainly you're just wanting to copy really big, really bulky, really annoying things such as like You can copy Raging Bolts. That's very annoying. You can copy Urshifus. That's very, very, very pretty good, you know. So it's a very good Pokemon. It does take a lot of skill to pilot. So congratulations on these guys able to topple Ditto. That's very, very impressive. Another Focus Sash Urshifu. This is the Terra Dark version. So this usually runs Sash since it's 4 times weak to Fairy. Very standard set here. Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Sucker Punch, and Detect. Moving on to Amoonguss. See the Terry Fairy adaptation coming for those. Miraidon, same thing. Interesting enough, Covert Cloak, I guess, to avoid those fake outs and to create a lot of pressure T1, because you can essentially like allow your Amoonguss to kind of spore or just do something versus the fake out leads. So that makes a lot of sense. Pollen Puff Spore, Rage Powder Protect, pretty standard set. Calyrex Ice Rider, the set to run here. If you didn't know, like Ice hits everything right for neutral except for Steel and Fire. High Horsepower hits Steel and Fire, super effective. And the only thing immune to ground is Flying, and Ice hits Flying, super effective. That's why Ice and Ground is like, since Kanto, it's the best coverage to have on a Pokemon, or some of the best coverage to have on a Pokemon. So this is just the set to run. Again, immune to the Incineroar that's going to come to every matchup versus this. So yeah, this is just the set to run here, and immune to the Wisp, and resisting the Mirror. Like there's just a lot that this Pokemon does well. Lastly, Incineroar Safety Goggles. Terra Ghost seems to be more common. They were going away from this at first with Grass and Water. Going back to Ghost makes sense. Fake Out, Knockoff, Taunt, and Parting Shot. Just, again, standard. Drop in the Flare Blitz, going Taunt. At this point, it's just standard to drop this for Wisp or Taunt. All right, we're going to combine Rajon and Colin's team. I think they ran the exact same team. So we're just going to combine these two. We're going to go over it together as one, basically. Gothitelle Covert Cloak. So you can't fake it out. Very interesting and very good Pokemon, actually. Shadow Tag, if you guys aren't familiar with Goth doesn't see much play, but this is an iconic Pokemon in VGC, very good. Shadow Tag locks you into the battle unless you are Ghost type, right? So once you're in, you're locked in there, and you just have to deal with it. With Foul Play, very good tech for, you know, both the Calyrexes. You can lock the Calyrex in, and it can't swap out because it's not Ghost type. The other Calyrex notably can swap out, though, the Shadow Rider, so keep that in mind. Terra Dark to resist the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup since you are weak to it, as well as be immune to those pranks or taunts, right? Fake Out, just to get Fake Out control. You can't be Fake Outed with Cloak, notably, so pretty good. Taunt, again, we're just seeing a lot of Taunt for those Trick Room teams and just all these support Pokemon coming to stop all the restricted Pokemon. And then Helping Hand, we're seeing this on a lot of teams too. A lot of damage here, need to boost it, so this makes a lot of sense. Chi-Yu Terra Ground, very interesting. I like it, though. This is from Rhydon for sure. And just, you know, overall, it's really solid. You are weak, notably, to the Urshifu Rapid Strike, and you can't tear off of that. But you do have the Sun. So notice that like you have the Sun and the Dragon here, so that you can resist that hit pretty well. Heat Wave, Dark Pulse, Terra Blast, Terra Ground, Terra Blast, and then Overheat. Just a lot of damage right here. Also, helping those special attackers like Raging Bolt, Flutter Mane on this team. Raging Bolt up next. We're seeing a lot of Terra Electric, so a lot of damage coming from the Raging Bolts. They're not going with the defensive fairy anymore. They're going with the Terra Electric. And this is honestly just to resist Electric, in my opinion, for the Miraidon matchup, because Terra Fairy was miserable. You would Terra for the Draco, and they just hit you really hard with an Electric move, right? So this, instead of, you know, you can tank, because you're AV, you can tank the Draco with Electric. It actually makes sense. You get a damage boost with Electric, tank the Draco, and then you can return back with your Draco of yourself, or you can tank the Volt Switch. So this takes the read out of it, right? This takes the read out of it. So I really like that. Volt Switch, Electro, Thunderclap, Draco, no Thunderbolt here, interestingly enough. The Volt Switch is very interesting, but makes sense to be pivotal. But yeah, that's definitely different. Rhydon, Clear Amulet, it can't be intimidated. Its ability just sets the sun. Terra Fire for offensive and defensive purposes. That way you ditch that 4 times weakness to Fairy. Collision Course, Flare Blitz, Flame Charge, and Protect. We saw Flame Charge being used to just gather some speed control once Tailwind was expiring, and to chip away at low HP Pokemon. That way you can net some value at, you know, taking advantage of damage as well as getting speed. Flutter Mane, choice specs, just the beginning of time set right here, right? Terra Fairy, lots of damage, Moonblast, Dazzling, Shadow Ball for the mirror, and just Calyrex and then Icy Wind for speed control in case that this is just kind of not useful in the moment. Pretty sure it's like timid specs, so you're getting a speed boost off of the sun. Lastly, Whimsicott with Focus Sash and Terra Ghost, avoid the Fake Out, Moonblast, Tailwind, Encore, and Protect. Very good Whimsicott set for this format, just a very oppressive set. I'm going to look at Colin's team, but I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same thing. We combined them. Yeah, this is exactly the same. I just wanted to show you just in case there were any differences, but no, even the Volt Switch was the same, so they used the same team. Lastly, moving on to John's team, and this is just the standard team. Terra type water though is very interesting, but you probably have, and there's no Amoonguss. Okay, that's interesting. No redirection for the Will-O-Wisp here. So we see Terra Water, Protect, Trick Room, Glacial, and high horsepower. As I said before, not really fearing the Will-O-Wisp, which is kind of crazy, right? Their Will-O-Wisp is on this team, and it's kind of everywhere in the meta. They chose for the Terra Water. I mean, it is defensive. You don't have to worry about the Shifu. Maybe they had Shifu issues. And you are also notably, they're in the rain. This makes a little more sense now. But lacking the Amoonguss to redirect. But I guess, I mean, you have goggles, so you can't really redirect. This Terra actually makes sense the more you think about it. They're in the rain a lot of the times, and they're probably leading like rain and then going into Trick Room. This makes sense. Rillaboom is the Terrifier, which interestingly enough, like, yeah, I don't know. The Terrifier here, Woodhammer, Fake Out, U-Turn, Grassy Glide, just standard set, very, very good. Incineroar, also standard set. You see Knock Off, Fake Out, Will-O-Wisp, Parting Shot, no taunt, just Will-O-Wisp instead. So again, guys, just drop that Flare Blitz. It's looking like that's the meta right now. Terraghost has been the meta I've noticed for this event, and Safety Goggles. Pelipper, Sash again. Stellar Terra, this is very, very good because Pelipper can take a hit and just do more damage if you need to clear something. Like if you know the Calc doesn't KO like Amoonguss or something with the Hurricane, then you can just Stellar to put you over the top. Very, very good. Protect, I like Protect over the Helping Hand, to be honest, with the Wide Guard. I know that they could fail together, but it just makes the read on turn 1 so you can't double this safely. Wide Guard, Hurricane, and Weather Ball. Urshifu, Rapid Strike, pretty standard. Water, Surging, U-Turn, Close Combat, but notably coaching on 2 of these teams. 2 power up the Calyrex Ice. This team has a little more synergy where you can coach your Rillaboom and your Incineroar instead of just coaching the Calyrex or the Incin. So I do like that part about the Rillaboom over Amoonguss. You can get more out of your coaching, right? And Fake Out Rillaboom is very, very, very scary, right? Let's say like you fake out coaching. Now these are +1. And you fake out and like this lives, right? And then you can just rotate this out if you want to into Pelipper. If this is threatened by like a fire type, right? Or you could coach again and you're at +2 with Woodhammer, and that's just so much damage. Like that's crazy. Grassy Glide's at +2 as well. I mean, you would be +1 if this is priority. Because the coaching wouldn't go off, right? But still a +1 Grassy Glide picks up for the damage on the nerf. So that's a pretty cool little combination. Lastly, Goldingo, drop the Terra Normal that Marco's running for Fairy. Protect Nasty Plot, make it rain Shadow Ball. Just a very good Pokemon to take advantage of this rain and set up and kind of be immune to the body press stuff that everyone was predicting for the event. So very good. Can't be spored by Amoonguss. Can't be Will-O-Wisp by Incineroar. So makes sense, right? Get under Trick Room. Will-O-Wisp incoming. Here comes your Goldingo. And then obviously you'd have to have like your rain to handle the Incineroar, but just a good rotation here overall. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for all the support that we've had on this channel recently. Just realized that we hit 200 subscribers, so I do appreciate that a lot. I have an announcement coming out about that soon, about something that I'm going to give back to you guys. So again, thank you for the support. It means the world to me. I hope that you learned something on this video, or that I helped give you insight on these new teams for the metagame, and to help you further prepare for NAIC, which is coming up. Keep practicing, and I'll see you on the next video.